So these are cheat codes for the modern entrepreneur, which are all of you. And here's the first 5. Next 5. I will go ahead and start. The first, and these are things that I've learned and picked up the last 6 years, and hopefully you can take these away from me. But mind you, all of my advice take it with a grain of salt. Everyone will try to give you advice, but always look at it from your own circumstances, in your own environment. But to kick it all off, you are the most powerful force in your life. I cannot stress this enough. I meet a lot of entrepreneurs that always kind of wait for something to happen to them. Oh, the environment's not right. Oh, this investor said no. Who cares? You are the one that initiates everything. You are the one that cares the most about yourself, so you are the most powerful force in your life. And you can do it all in the beginning, at least by pushing it forward by yourself. For me, when I first went to New York, I'd never been to New York or LA or San Francisco until I was 18, right? And I knew I needed to meet people, so I emailed as many people as I could. And this is related to my second cheat, which is ask. By the way, asking is probably the most underrated thing on the planet. And if you don't ask people for help, how do they know how to help you? We're very hesitant to ask sometimes as entrepreneurs, or even as people in general. But here's an exercise, even in sales, and even as an entrepreneur, you're constantly selling. Ask people for things, advice, contacts, money. But as a great philosopher once said, ludicrous, he said, if you ask for money, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get money. So, he's a great philosopher. So, asking is a big deal, and asking is a way to make your reality become, your dreams become real. And if you get rejected, it's actually a good thing. One of the things I always tell my salespeople is, by the way, you get no's, you get rejected, you get the hand, it actually is a good thing, because it means you're asking enough. If you're not asking enough, you're not even going to get rejected, you're not even going to get yeses, you're going to be in the place that you're already in the first place, which was no one was saying yes to you in the first place. So I can't stress it enough that asking is so easy, but so simple. So I did share a story a little while ago of how we got funding by simple cold email. By the way, I have a cold emailing trick, okay? And this is another cheat. Emailing someone out of the blue is the best way to get a hold of them. I'm not even kidding. And the best way to do it is to guess their email. So you're probably wondering, again, one of those things. You're the most powerful force in your life. You can figure this out. People always say, I don't know the email of the CEO of Coke or whatever. Figure it out. And you know how you do it? You guess it. So you take the first name and the last name of the person, right? And then at companyname.com. You put the best guess, first name dot last name at company.com in the to field. Then you put every other permutation in the BCC field. So when you send it, he doesn't know you're so desperate to get a hold of him. I still do this. I just did it an hour ago. I was trying to reach the CEO of another company that I was trying to do a deal with, and I was like, I'm just guessing email, screw it. And so actually, I'm going to show you. This is the email that I sent to the CEO of Amex, American Express. You guys ever heard of Amex? So the subject line says 20-year-old founder of a $20 million mobile reward company. We were not actually worth that much at the time, but I just made it up. You know? But the thing is, when you are trying to ask for help, that's not a time to be super humble and just sell yourself short. You're trying to impress them. And you can see the rest of the body. I'm going to read the entire email. But my whole point, why I like to share this is because I emailed Ken Chino, the CEO of Amex. He didn't even know who I was. He forwarded my email to their head of investments. And then at the same time that day, another person introduced me to their head of investments. A month later, I got an email from the head of investments saying, okay, I got 2 emails from my CEO about you. What do you guys do? Let's meet up. And then 6 months later, they invested. So you make your own future. You don't wait for this stuff to happen. You make it. You ask people. And it's email. It's perfect. You can always just show up in the person's inbox, and you don't need permission to do it. You can just send an email, and it'll show up. Unless you've been doing a lot of spamming. Then create another email account and do it. Third is, audacity is rewarded. And audacity is being bold, thinking different, doing different things, being big in how you think about it, and taking the different path. One thing I want to warn you about is this thing called the easy path. And the easy path is the one that everyone else seems to be doing. Graduating from university with the same degree that everyone else is graduating with, which by the way is fine, because I did this, but I did it earlier than other people. It's fine to graduate. By the way, I'm a huge advocate for finishing school, okay? I don't advocate for dropping out. This is for the record. And I do say, though, that you're graduating at the same time as thousands of other people, and they all have the exact same degree as you. So on paper, you look exactly the same. So what do you do that makes you look different? This is everything you do from your extracurricular activities to the skills you have that are unique to whatever it might be. Everything you do outside of the thing that everyone else seems to be doing is what will make you different. And being differentiated means you are indispensable. The less differentiated you are, the more dispensable you are. Mark my words. That means that if you have the same skill set that many other people have, you're not worth that much. But if you create something that's different, it could be like anything, and I've seen this all around the world. You could be the best at painting miniature figures, but that would make you not only extremely successful, but potentially very wealthy if you do it very, very well and are the best at it. So for me, my different path, this skyline is of Singapore. I'm sure many of you know about Singapore. I actually spent 7 months in Singapore as part of my exchange program. So I realized that traveling and getting out, this was actually the first time that I ever lived away from home, was when I went on exchange to Singapore. So I actually explored the Southeast Asian region during this time. And it was because of this trip that I left Vancouver, the comfort of Vancouver. Vancouver is a beautiful city. It's extremely comfortable, right? And you could live there for the rest of your life. But I said I need to go somewhere. Singapore is also very comfortable, but also very hot, much like Sri Lanka. But I said, let me go ahead and find myself somewhere else. And then I went to Thailand, went to Vietnam, went to Cambodia, went to all these places. That is where I caught the travel bug. And that is where I realized that most of my ideas, most of my inspiration comes from cultures that are different than mine. And that's why I love coming to places that inspire me, that have people who have the same drive. You all have the same drive as what I've seen all around the world when it comes to building something from scratch. But you all came from different backgrounds. And those types of perspectives are incredibly important in being able to build your worldly view of what is working and what isn't with people and their online habits and their digital trends. In fact, right before this, I was in India. I was in Delhi. I went to the whole Golden Triangle thing. By the way, that's why I'm like doing this a lot, because I was in India for a few days and I caught on. So now I know this is okay. Okay. So I mentioned my Photoshop. I mentioned that was a big part of my secret growing up. And then junk. Why do I have junk? So there's a company in North America. I think they also have some franchises outside of North America called 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It's actually a junk removal company. It's you call them and then they send a truck and they get rid of your big junk, like if you have an old couch or a fridge or whatever, right? Good service. Why do I mention them? You take every opportunity you can get. This is why I mean this. I got offered an internship right before I graduated at this company in PR, public relations. Think about it. A public relations job for a company that deals with garbage, okay? This is not the best. You think about it, like what? But I learned so much. And this is the audacity, this is a different path. I learned so much in that if you can make junk look good on the press, you can make anything look good, okay? So that's why I took on that internship. And then mining as well. I told you that mining is a big part of BC, British Columbia, and Vancouver in the economy. So I actually took on a design role in a mining company. And I was designing big sort of background sort of things at booths, so that the mining shows that they were at. And I produced brochures. I learned how to design in print and in digital. And it was because of this opportunity. So everything's weird. It's different. Everyone has their own path. I also, as part of the web design company, we created a Twitter tool off the API, back when there wasn't any limits on how many people you could follow off the API. So we created this thing where you could follow thousands of people in one go, okay? And it was originally because of good intentions. We said, okay, when you start on Twitter, you don't know who to follow. This is before the suggested users list. So we created a starter following kit. It got extremely popular. I think it got like 30,000 users in the first 2 days. And the reason is because most of them were spammers, but whatever. Like, go to hell is paid with good intentions. But we created this thing, and the reason why I mentioned this is because it was the first thing that I ever built that got press. So Mashable covered an article about it, but what I did after that was I took the article link, and then I emailed like 40 other publications about it, VCs, everyone. I used it as the reason and excuse for me to meet up with people. So everything you create, all of a sudden it smells so good, I'm hungry now. If you want to create something, it becomes your brand, you can use that. It doesn't have to be huge. Any of you can create a business card or a site, have a brand, use that as a way to be a part of showing people that you have the track record of actually creating. One of the most important things that I look at whenever I look at another entrepreneur, and even if I want to invest or I want to recommend them to another investor, is do you have an insatiable desire to create? Not just sit around and talk about how cool things are, but actually build things. And that's why being able to show people that you can is way more important than being able to tell them that you can. The fourth is leverage your youth. Now, again, I believe everyone in this room is the same age. In fact, if someone once told me that you're only old if you think that yesterday was better than today, and you're young when you think that tomorrow will be better than today. It's all up here. None of it has to do with your physical age. People always look at me and go, oh, of course, you're really young, blah, blah, blah. Point is, everything's up here. How many of you have thought and have seen these entrepreneurs, and technically from an age group, they might be older, like a Richard Branson or even a Steve Jobs, but their mindset is so youthful, right? And by the way, it's funny, when you're young, it's called ADHD, right? And when you're older, it's called eccentricism. You're eccentric, right? But you actually have a huge attention deficit disorder. And for me, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, but I think you leverage these strengths and you are able to use it as part of your youth. And make it as part of your personality. And make it as part of your mindset and thinking about things. And use the fact that you can stay up all night, email hundreds of people a day, not worry about the things that might necessarily be a part of the baggage you might come from later on. But a lot of you are very young and should make use of that. And this is why I was having this conversation with a group of entrepreneurs earlier today, where the popularity of working at a big company, right? I'm sure you guys have all had this pressure from your parents. When you graduate, go work at a big company, get the security of a big company, da-da-da-da-da. The thing is, when you're young, that's the best time to go and take crazy risks. In fact, that's the only time you have. When you get older, that risk profile diminishes. And so you should be flipping it. In fact, you should be doing the most risky things now and figuring out your security stuff later. But obviously there's a limit. I don't want you guys to take my word for it and go crazy, start jumping off buildings, right? But I'm saying this is important. The fifth is think really big. Of course, Star Trek. But big, and let me go where we're at. Boldly go where we're going. But the reason why I show this is because what happens sometimes in our conservative thinking as we come up with ideas as entrepreneurs is we focus on one angle. We don't think about the bigger picture. So I'll give you an example, and I don't want to name names, but I will. There's a startup outside called Grubs. Yeah? Yeah, the Grubs. Woo! Yeah. I think they've won the battlefield, right? So congratulations. But but I was just chit-chatting, and the idea is very simple and very elegant. You get discounts and fine restaurants, blah, blah, blah. But we were having a nice brainstorm, and then we were thinking about what could be bigger about this, right? What could be bigger? Well, maybe we start to add social features, things that differentiate a bit. Okay, so when I add an offer, maybe it'll notify my friends that I've added an offer, because here's the thing. You can be cheap by yourself, but you should be cheap as a group. It's a lot more fun, because you save money as a group, right? It's even better. Okay, so that's one idea. But then I said, okay, what about adding an element of dating, right? So here's the thing. When you are on a one-on-one date and you use a discount, you are cheapo, right? But if you are a group with a bunch of girls and a bunch of guys, it's awesome. It's a party, because we've got a happy hour. It's awesome. So the group dynamic changes it, and I understand that the dating culture here is a bit more conservative, which is fine. So Tinder maybe not working that well, but if you add in going out as a group, it's awesome, because it's not the explicit desire of getting hooked up. but rather going out and having fun as a group. So the bigger picture here is this about discounts for food, or is this a platform for bringing people together and having experiences? That's the thing about Silicon Valley that makes it different. The ideas that the entrepreneurs in the Valley think about are always, or not always, I should say there's always going to be exceptions, but I'm saying most of the time, it's what is the what's the maniacally large, I was trying to look for that word, English has been fading a bit over the past few days. The maniacally large idea. And by the way, the bigger you think, the more scary you seem, but the more willing people are to follow you to see it, and it will play out, right? So for example, I said, I will eliminate the need for haircuts with this amazing idea that will make sure your hair will never grow longer than it actually grows. That sounds freaking crazy, right? I will basically eliminate the need for hair. This is this is all it is. I don't have to worry about haircuts. It's an amazing solution. But it's such a big idea that, oh man, you can actually figure that out. That's a big deal, right? And so same thing as Elon Musk. Oh, I'm going to create a private space company that, and I don't know anything about space or rockets or anything, because whatever, but I'm going to start it anyways. And we're going to make it bigger than NASA, and we're going to make it bigger than any other government-run space program ever created in the history of ever. Well, if it actually makes it happen, gosh, I should probably see this through. So the thing that ties all these entrepreneurs together as a common thread is that thinking big encourages people to want to be a part of this big mission. It's the visionary part of being an entrepreneur. And it's never a bad policy to think big, because if you aim for something this high, you aim to go to Mars and you go to the moon, it's still pretty impressive. But you have to aim to go to Mars, because if you don't aim to Mars and you only aim to the moon, you might only go halfway. You might not even pass the atmosphere. Makes sense, right? So, let's see if it's connecting. Can you go to the next slide? Oh, here we go, yes. So this is Elon. Everyone loves Elon. All right. So the sixth is find your superpower. This is critical. This is actually one of the interview questions that we ask all of our potential employees. And what I mean by this is that there's a point in your adulthood where you stop trying to figure out how to fix your weaknesses and you start to strengthen what you're very good at. And you guys all remember this growing up and in school, it's like, oh, you failed at whatever, you did poorly, whatever. You need to work on making that better. So for me, I know it's really hard to believe, but I always did poorly in any classes that involve a lot of numbers. So I'm not really that good at math. I know it's really hard to believe. I know, because those Chinese people were supposed to be good at math. But I wasn't. So I realized that my superpower is not math. But my superpower, and I know this, is I'm really good at getting people super excited about stuff. That's what I do. And in fact, I do it all the time. I'm doing it right now. I do it with my employees, I do it with my potential employees, I do it with my investors, I do it with potential investors, customers, you name it, everyone. And then you find people that are good at the things that you're not good at, and you complement yourself and build a team. So the same thing with you is focus on honing in that strength. If you're really good at one thing, make sure you're the best at it. And I want to share this little anecdote, which is my sales team, again, very good at what they do. Did you know what is the most common thread that I've noticed across our top salespeople? Is that they all did improv in high school. They all acted. They did this improvisational drama type of work as part of their extracurriculars. But why? Because if you're doing improv, you need to think on your feet. You need to make up things, and you need to figure out how to get people entertained. You need to be outgoing and eccentric, and that's incredibly critical when you're selling and when you're in the role of sales. So this is their superpower. They're good at thinking on their feet and being able to create amazing pictures of things that could happen, be able to sell properly. And that's why they do well. And that's their superpower. 7, always be learning. I think this is self-explanatory, but I'll explain it to you in the form that will remove every excuse you have. So how many of you are like, I need a technical co-founder. I only know business stuff. I'm useless. I can only do business stuff. Not that being in business is useless. But I actually agree that as a business person, you should probably figure out how to gain a tactical skill. In my case, it's design, remember? In your case, just being in business management is okay, But sometimes people go, I need my technical co-founder. They go crazy, they try to find this person. Why? When you can just learn it yourself. Why are you waiting for them to come to you and arrive with, I'm your technical co-founder, make all your dreams come true? Go on General Assembly and take a course. Learn. There's so many resources online. You have no excuse anymore. You can learn how to code in 6 months or less. Not extremely well, but enough to be able to build whatever it is that you really want to build. So you have no excuse anymore. Right? So stop waiting for your technical co-founder to come and learn your own skills first, and later on, bring someone in who's better than you at it, but go from there. I showed this picture. This is, by the way, of Iceland. I was on a glacier in Iceland. Now, why I show you this is because my version of learning, beyond just the skills of building things and tactical skill set, is, like I mentioned, cultural wholesomeness, understanding people's mindsets, and traveling for me is that way. I get inspired by that. What gives you your inspiration? Learn where you learn is essentially what I'm saying. If it's museums, great. If it's spending time with your friends, great. If it's some other way that I don't need to know, fine. These are all ways you need to understand is your zen, is your way of being inspired. Almost done here. I know I'm running out of time, but I hope this is good, right? So 8th is generate serendipity. Oh, gratitude. Oh shit, I just gave away the last one. Sorry. Gratitude breeds maturity. This is a picture of my family. This is my brother. Just got married last month. Very exciting for him. He gets to accomplish all that stuff first, and then I don't have to worry about it, right? So my parents were like, okay, you bring us a grandson, you get married, and then Brian can go off and do crazy stuff. Now, why I show you this picture is, my parents are from Hong Kong. Actually, more accurately, my father came from Guangzhou, which is a city south of China, in southern China. Now, how did he get from Guangzhou to Hong Kong? Well, he was smuggled in the bottom of a fishing vessel. And the reason why is because his parents, my grandparents, and their parents, my great-grandparents, were landlords. They owned land. They were farmers. And when the chairman Mao came in, obviously, that's not part of the whole thing about communism. You can't own things. So they started to do really nasty things to them. So my father had to leave. My mom also grew up in a very crowded neighborhood in Hong Kong, extremely under the poverty line. They were both so poor that they had no idea that the color of rice was white and the tomatoes were red. Why? Because they couldn't afford processed rice, so they only eat brown rice, and they couldn't afford to wait for the tomatoes to ripen before they ate them because they were just so poor. So they came from nothing. They came to America, or to Canada. My father told me this story where he had enough money to buy a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and he had to survive on that until he got a job to essentially earn enough money to pay for food for the next, to survive. And he went to a restaurant, and he didn't even have a work permit, he's a student, and begged them to take him in to wash dishes. So my parents did all that to come to Canada, and now my dad is an accountant, my mom's a nurse. If they did all that to create a stable environment for my brother and I to grow up in, where the only worry we had was, are we going to get good grades or not? Right? They did all this to create stable environments. Why would I go and then do another stable job? They created a stable environment for us to go off and do crazy things and to build the next generation of this family. All of you owe it to your parents, to your ancestors, whatever they did to create this environment for you, to go and do amazing things with the stability that they created around you. So many people have given up so much for you to be able to sit here, just to sit here. Think about it. That means you owe it to them to do something amazing with their life. And we are the most enabled generation right now. People always complain about millennials. They think we're lazy, right? They think we don't do anything amazing. But we are the most enabled. We have all the technology available at our fingertips. Why are we not doing amazing things? All of you. And to deal with this risk, I give you another cheat. And by the way, the background is me skydiving a few weeks ago, and I didn't die, so I'm here, right? So you ask the question, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is I die. but I did it, so ha, right? And the thing is, this is a risk exercise. So before you hesitate, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, or start a mistake, or reach out to this investor, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Will you die? Will your house spontaneously combust into flames? No. Just emailing someone you want to work with, if they didn't answer you, it didn't change anything in the beginning, and the best that could happen is that they could say yes. So the worst that can happen is really not that bad. This is the risk framework that you should be using to think about all the moves that you make. And this is a little cheat. I always ask myself this question, what's the worst that can happen, right? And you are able to then handle the risk better if you understand that environment. And finally, last, is generate serendipity. And what I mean by this is serendipity means a lot of things to different people, but serendipity to me means sort of luck, but in a better way. It's luck that comes together almost naturally. It comes together with preparation, but it comes together with outcomes that are delightful and positive. And why I say generate is you can control it. You can generate the serendipity. And by the way, how do you do that? You do it with people around you that are like-minded, that are also willing to help you and build things with you. And what exactly are we doing here today? So understand that for you, and especially this inaugural event, is all about generating serendipity. And I cannot wait to see what comes out of this, especially when this thing comes on the next year, the third year, the fourth year. Remember that you can control your luck, you can build things, you can do amazing things, and you can always create your future that was better than its past, and always use that mindset to build something absolutely amazing. Thank you very much.